And here we are. It is the Thursday before C2E2. So you got me, you got Cliff. Elaine is on assignment, as they say in the news business, but we know where she's at here. She's getting ready for tomorrow here. So what's going on with you today, Cliff? How's things there?
I mean,
You're muted again. Okay, there we go.
okay. It's the standard southern time of year where we have to run the air conditioner and the heater at the same time because it is 87 degrees as we speak, but tonight it's going to be down to the 30 something. So, yeah, we all have sinus infections and headaches and are ornery. Um,
So we're in that type of the year, at least down there, where the weather doesn't know what it's going to do.
yes, we call this almost spring, and it lasts for
Mhm.
2 weeks, and then it's summer, and then it's summer, and then it's summer all the way until it's winter for 2 weeks, and it's summer again.
Mhm.
So that's how it works down here. Are you ready for CTE2?
Well, let's just say we finally got the new series already ready to go. That's the A cover, the
Awesome.
C2E2 version variant, and the not safe for work version, which I can't show on the air. We got our corrective issue number 5 here, so we got everything corrected with that one. However, the foil for Primetime Saturday Night number 5 still have errors, and we still have a few of the foils left for Amazonia 7.
Nice.
So that's just kind of like a few things to look forward to on tomorrow for those that are going to be there. And
Hmm.
then Elaine has her In the Coming of Night actually available at C2E2 this year. So this is going to be the C2E2 edition of that. That's going to be there as well, plus her novel of The Enslaved.
Nice. Nice. And apparently Cobbler. There's going to be Cobbler there. So
Yes,
okay.
yes, they're going to be cobbler. That's there. There's supposed to be cobbler that for those who are fortunate enough to get their slice here. Which, fortunately for me, I do. I'm going to bring mine tomorrow because I'm going to have it and eat it while I'm there.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm little things bring me joy in life. I finally figured out how to make cobbler the way my grandmother used to,
Oh, how?
with the little lattice work on the top of it and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And I'm tickled pink. I just wish I could make it taste like hers, but it's that grandma magic that none of us have. So I'm at least happy it looks like it. So
Well, now you got me thinking about the Proud family. About the grandma's recipe is like, I put my ankle in it,
yeah,
and she literally put her ankle.
like I mean, I have a lot of my grandmother's recipes, and I follow them faithfully. It doesn't taste anything like hers. I I'd never understood it. I just chalked it up to that old time grandma magic that she just something happens and it tastes the way it does. Um, I think someone told me one time it's because at that age they have arthritis, so you can't work the ingredients the way they can. I was like, okay,
That's it. That's possibly the answer. I just
like
believe it's something simpler than that.
I do too. They're better at it than I am, so I just go with it.
No, no, it's not. I don't think it's better at it. It's just more of the mentality. It's done. It's like the best way I could explain is the best way that my significant other explains why a sandwich made by somebody else tastes better to her than a sandwich that made that she makes. Is just is something mentally associated with the love behind it.
Right, right.
So you
Yeah.
have to be in that same mindset of grandma at that point
Hmm.
to put the same type of love and speciality in it for it to taste right.
Oh yeah. Plus, my grandmother, she was an old Southern grandma, so it wasn't you cooked for who's at the house for dinner. You cooked for the village.
Hmm.
So they got used to dealing with gossipers at the church picnics. So they had to make sure everything was on point. So that's what it is. That helps too. Um, oh, mm,
That's something to I'm looking forward to tomorrow. To be quite honest,
mm.
here just for that aspect of it here.
Well, I'm gonna have to make a trip up there one year now because
Mm.
I'm a sucker for cobbler. So I
So,
don't care about the books or anything. No offense to anybody, but there's dessert involved. That's more important. So
well, C2E2 is beginning to be more like that now because I'm still it's like I'm still like one row down from people selling like fudge and
hmm.
candy and all this other stuff here.
Hmm.
And surprisingly enough, this year the booth behind me is no other than my cell phone carrier, T-Mobile.
You better have the best service ever that entire weekend. Then
I'm up here. It's like I got my tablet. I got my tablet, which has the T-Mobile service on it. It's like I should not miss a credit card swipe all during that show.
yeah, I don't know. I don't enjoy going to cons like I used to. I think mainly because I blame the movies, and I blame the movies because it draws in people who only want to come see the third extra in the scene where Groot did this, and there's hardly any comic guests anymore. And then the comic vendors, because they're trying to get these newbies coming in, overcharge for all their back issues. So it's like I can't when I go to meet comic guests or see friends of mine who have booths there, and to get some good deals on back issues. And those things just you can't do them anymore at conventions. Like we have one convention around here that actually caters to comic creators, and they're taking the year off and won't be back till 2027. All the other ones have one or two comic guests, and the rest are like voice actors or the stand-in for so and so in this episode of The Walking Dead. And I was like, I'm not spending all this money for that, especially when I'm a family of five. That's five tickets I have to buy for something I don't want to go to.
That's part of the problem because that was one of the things that I was talking to somebody earlier about not getting premiere space ever again and just going back to either getting a small press booth or a regular 10 by 10.
Mm,
Because one of the things that I really had the premiere booth for, because when Marvel and DC and Dark Horse and all the publishers were being focused on,
mm,
being around them helped my comic book sales.
right.
Now, when I'm up here, have I T-Mobile in front of me, some other type of vendors. Like one year, we had a sewing machine vendor right next to us. People are not looking for us anymore in the
Hmm.
front of the convention hall. They're going to Artist Alley. They're going to get their signatures. They're going to do all this other stuff, and when we're just sitting there, kind of like twiddling our thumbs, hoping that people pay attention and we catch people's attention, and yada 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 yada.
Yeah, my some real close friends of ours who are indie publishers. They're self publishers.
Mhm.
They do so much better at anime and manga conventions selling their comics than they do at comic conventions because nobody's coming there for the comics anymore. They're coming there for signatures or for whatever. So yeah,
I don't do well at manga anime conventions because what we do is not manga and anime.
mm,
Manga and anime collectors are very very picky. They're picky picky picky
yes,
picky. But
yes,
I get what they're saying. It's like just like with
mm,
a lot of people tell me it's like, oh, I do great with small shows. It's like I don't do great with small shows because small shows tend to favor those that are local. If I
mm,
make like a whole day trip to get out to that small show and I don't break $100 in sales, it's not worth my time.
right, right. Especially when you travel out there, you got to pay for your booth space, you got to pay to eat. Some conventions, I don't know about up there, but some conventions down here, they charge you if you have to plug something up. They
Mm-hmm.
charge you an electricity fee. So yeah, it's that's why they don't go to many conventions outside of the ones that they know they sell at because it's not like it used to be where you can just roll the dice and you'll have a good day no matter what. So yeah,
And the bigger
it's
shows have always been kinder to me because like C2E2 has been until this year has been very, very kind to me. I've been to a
mhm,
New York and Amazonia all the issues that I had of Amazonia that I had there sold out before I even got to Saturday.
Mm.
So it's things like that's like I had success with bigger shows. But when I go to these small shows, it's just like, who are you? Why are you here? Why are you bothering us?
Right.
And it's like, I just, I created a couple of series. I thought you might like it. Here, take a look.
Mm.
But because I'm not local, they would be hesitant because they think I'm like a one and done.
Mm-hmm.
And what's messed up is that I have more than just an issue one. It's like I have 7 going into 8 for Amazonia. I have 5 going into issue number 6 of Primetime Saturday Night, 4 of AWF going into issue number 5, and I just launched Legends of the Giant Slayer, which technically I have 3 of them already ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
2 more that's ready. If I needed to print, or I could go ahead, give it to Elaine, get the final edits done, and we just go to print.
Right.
And that's not even including the role playing game that I'm about to get ready to finish the core manual and get ready to release that soon.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of those deals. It's like, how do you get in to fit in? It's just one of those
Right.
types of deals.
Right. Yeah. Because I've been to conventions with them where we will sit there all weekend and talk to maybe 2 people, and out of those 2 people, one of them may buy something.
Mhm.
And then I've gone to other conventions where it's all day, all
Mhm.
day. It's just it's hard because it's never there. There's no consistency to it as far as what you're going to get. Like this is a bad example because of who I'm going to talk about, but
Mhm.
I've been to 2 conventions where there was a big name comic guest there. I went to Superman Celebration one year, and
Mhm.
George Perez was there. I don't know why I did air quotes and then said his name, but go with it.
Yeah.
And then he came, and then a few years later, he came to the Memphis Comic Expo down here, and it was night and day as far as the people up there at Superman Celebration. He had a line going out the door. I mean, all weekend long, he was sitting there sketching. Here you go, signing. Here you go. At Memphis Comic Expo, I think he was busy for about 30 minutes on Saturday. And the rest of the time, it was just like this small ass line all weekend. Like, what is happening? So it's really strange how same person,
Mhm.
and it's not like nobody knows who he is. So it was just crazy. He didn't care though because he if you've ever met George, he's a giant nerd,
Mhm.
and he'll stop his line and stop whatever he's doing just to go take a picture of somebody's costume he likes. He was a really cool guy, but yeah, I mean, when I saw him in Superman Celebration, I was like, man, you're charging $30 a head sketch, and no, wow. And then in Memphis, it was like, oh, he's probably not going to pay for his ticket out here now.
Mhm.
So it's just crazy to me with conventions how that is.
I mean, I want to get to that point where I get invited as a special guest, but those are fewer and
Mm-hmm.
far between. I
Yeah.
have sat on panels and stuff to that magnitude at shows before, but never as a special guest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I will say, the Memphis convention, we got to talk to him longer because he wasn't as busy.
Mhm.
And that man's humble bragging was on a different level altogether. Yeah, he would sit there and he'd start talking to us, and he'd be like, guys, this I'm glad I could come out to this convention, but this has been a really bad year for me. I was afraid my wife and I weren't going to be able to make our money this year.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, okay. But my royalty check from DC came in and was for $250,000. So we were able to keep our house. I was like, seriously,
You just see that?
seriously.
I was like, wow, 250 grand. I was like, yeah, keep the house, pay off whatever taxes, this, that, and the other. You're good.
Yeah. The funniest part to me was he was talking about a little bit about how royalties work. And he said when the Val Kilmer Batman movie, Batman Forever,
Hmm.
when it came out, and it's when Chris O'Donnell got introduced as Nightwing. I mean, as Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in that scene where he was talking about what should I call myself, and he said Nightwing as just a throwaway line because he referenced Nightwing as Dick Grayson. Marv Wolfman and him both got $9,000 checks in the mail.
Yep.
I was like, huh, okay. So yeah, he was quite good at humble bragging. I was impressed. Um,
And that was just a mention. Let alone,
yeah,
what if they use a costume designer to show one of their designs? It goes up further from there.
I mean, can you imagine the party at his house when they brought out the stuff for Justice League and Cyborg was in it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but yes, conventions are funny things like that to me.
It is, but there's a lot of fun that can be had. To be quite honest, I have more fun as a collector and congoer than as an exhibitor from time to time. The only
Oh
time
yeah.
I have fun as an exhibitor is when I have a chance to talk to other creators and everything,
Mm,
and we get to to sit down and talk shop.
hmm
That's the only time I really have fun. It's like when I go and make the rounds in Artist Alley, it's like I'm not making the rounds at Artist Alley to be like to see who's there. I'm like making the rounds to be like everybody's up here like, hey, you got a book. You like you need somebody to help you. It's like, let me see your work. You're not
hmm
what we need. It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of those things. It's like you want to team up with other people, but at the same time, you have to team up with the right people. It just
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's that becomes a hard part too, especially now when
mhm,
like there's so many things in that goes into comic book creation that there's not a person anymore that does it.
mhm.
Like colorists, there's hardly ever colorists anymore. There's studios that do it, and it's
Well, there's colorists, but colorists are like you said are hired by studios, and then
yeah.
the bigger umbrella studio gets paid, not the individual
Hmm.
colorist, unless you know somebody on the side like I do. That I know a couple that do coloring, and
Hmm.
I could pay them, just as much as trying to find a studio that handles it, and they just slop it out to whoever's available. To
Right,
me,
and I mean,
who's available does not work for me.
no, and I mean, inking is becoming more and more of a lost art because it's everybody's doing it digitally now.
It's not the fact that it's being done digitally. People lost the lost art of it.
Mhm.
People think inking is merely tracing pencils.
Mm-mm,
Mm-mm.
mm-mm.
You'd be
Oh no.
surprised of how many inkers have corrected a lot of these pencilers' mistakes and
Man,
make these pencilers look great.
I am not knocking him in any way whatsoever because he is a very talented artist and a very enthusiastic nerd. But Jim Lee would not be Jim Lee if it wasn't for Scott Williams. Because I've seen Jim Lee's pencils before Scott gets a hold of them.
Mhm.
That doesn't look like Jim Lee. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that man's got stayed in business this long because he knows what he's doing as an inker.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but I mean, it's those guys are few and far between now
Mhm.
because you can I can load up Photoshop and do some sloppy ink work, and some people will be like, "Hey, there you go, that's inking." It's like, no, man, I just I just hit the fill in tool. What are you talking about?
Right. And that's the thing. It's like I had to learn coloring. I had to learn how to do my own flats and stuff. And once I learned how to do flats, coloring became a little bit easier.
Hmm.
But I had to learn different techniques. Like I ink digitally.
Hmm.
Put like a good old fashioned ink brush in my hand. I'll be scared. I'll be too scared. I was like, nope, I'm gonna mess this up. Where's the white? I'll have to restart it. This, that, and the other. It's like then I have to be like, you know what? I should have made a copy of my pencils. Now I have to redraw
Hmm.
everything again and then come back to the
Hmm.
inks.
Yeah, yeah. I enjoy watching my friends when they draw. They do their pencil work But there's something about sitting there and watching them ink by hand. It's magic. It's so cool to me. I love watching it. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm not going to give them grief and call them tracers to their face, but that's, that's different.
But there's some magic with using good old fashioned Bristol board. There's some
Oh
magic
yeah,
behind it.
oh yeah.
That's why I still love doing my pencils on Bristol board. It's a magic behind it. It's a theater of art. You're doing something. That's why I like Bristol boards. I like doing storyboarding, stuff like that, because your mind's eye, you could play and you have like a big old sandbox to play with, and nobody can tell you no.
Right.
But
Right.
once you get past penciling, the rest of it is like, unless you're a master of it, it just doesn't feel right.
Yep. Yeah. But we don't have to worry about that much longer. We just tell GBT to do it.
That's not the same. It's like I don't want to go into a rant with that, because what those tools are doing is allowing people to get the bare basics, because of the simple fact that these programs cannot create things from air. They have to take images from other people like myself and your friends who draw everything to that magnitude, do some type of matching and decompositioning and replying certain things to make a image that is close to what the prompt is.
Right.
And I'm sitting up here, it's like I have actually tried using a lot of these AI tools, and I still find myself like, oh, I need to go back into Photoshop to correct this. The perspective is off, so now I have to figure out how to get this in the proper perspective to make it look right.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know why I'm getting a phone call from a scammer at this time.
This is prime scamming hours right here, man.
Shoot,
I get them all the time.
They need to go somewhere else. I'm up here, was like, nope. I normally don't get phone calls about this time of day.
Yeah. I know if my phone rings, it's either my wife or a scammer, because no one else ever calls me unless I'm at the doctor. Then everybody wants to call me. It's like they know. I came across an article today, and I just thought about it. I was almost going to get your opinion on it. It's a Bleeding Cool article. I know
Okay.
a lot of people find Bleeding Cool polarizing, but every once in a
Well,
while, you
again,
can find some gems.
knowing people who have actually written for Bleeding Cool, have actually met the guy of Bleeding Cool in San Diego. Oh, I'm quite aware of Bleeding Cool and what is real and what is not.
Yeah. But they posted an article today talking about how comic sales and Image are going up through the roof, and they attribute it to the absolute Batman effect. How at DC, when the absolute books came out, everything started, the sales on all their books went up, and now at Image, they had that book. Was it Dork or whatever, and Fireborn and Corpse Night. They're selling like a couple 100,000 copies, and it's bringing up the sales of all their other books. And it's just it's interesting to me, because now it seems like, and there's no way I can say we're entering a comics boom period, because there's never going to be a comics boom period again like there used to be. But we're getting back to a time where people are actually going out and buying physical copies of books more. And I don't know, do you attribute that to the absolute books? Do you
New.
attribute it to more and more people falling for the next speculator craze? What is different now than 2 years ago? Because
What is different now between 2 years ago?
I mean,
More of the speculators are leaving. which means that people are now slowly but surely starting back to reading the content more so than anything else. But then again, I also attribute the sales of Image for a different way, for a different reason.
Mm-hmm.
Image books to me are more, if I could say, original in the
Mm-hmm.
aspect that it does not always focus in on capes and tights. It
Mm-hmm.
has they do a variety of books. Now those variety of books that they do, some are like meh, and others are like, okay, this is decent, and then others are just spectacular. But what
Mm-hmm.
also attributes to it is, like you said, the speculator craze, because Dork was one of those books that I was up here thinking about trying out until I found out that on day one, Dork One, if you bought it off the rack, was $40. I was like, no, cover price is cover price on New Comic Book Day. I'm sorry, I
Mm-hmm.
don't care what speculators and all this other stuff are doing.
Mm-hmm.
What I do attribute to some of this so-called craziness here, and it looks like we
Mm-hmm.
got some comments here. Yeah, less speculators, more crap books. It looks it's like the '90s all over again. Too many gimmicks and variants, and the bubble burst already, and people are hurting for money. $6.99 books are just not cutting it. I tend to agree with that, but
I mean, I agree with you
getting
too.
back to your question here, what I truly feel is the secondary market. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that companies like Image benefits more from that secondary market of eBay and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, and all these other places where speculation is high. And
Right.
people have this fear of missing out on the next big thing. And considering the fact that Image do more original type titles that's
Mm-hmm.
more akin to like the manga aspect of things here,
Right.
that's the reason why they're selling the way that they did. Now, them boasting about 100,000 units per month.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, we grew up in an age where 100,000 was just a more drop in the bucket here.
100,000 copy book got canceled back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but nowadays that's a big deal, and you can't compare sales now to sales in the 80s. Good sales now are good sales now based on the last 20 years.
I tend to
And I mean,
disagree with that a little bit.
well, I
I
mean,
got my reason why I disagree with that, but I want you to finish
well,
your
it's no
comment.
different than like television ratings, right? A show's television number. I don't even know what the number one show is right now on TV, but whatever the number one show is right now on television, its ratings 10 years ago would have had it canceled because it's different.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Oh,
that's
hi,
just
Elaine.
Elaine saying
Yeah.
it's like Sleepily wanders in her way to bed, looks around and wanders back out.
Mm. But,
Like
so
low print books in the shooter era were like 250,000 copies and in danger of cancellation. Books like X-Men were 465,000 average printing.
right. But that was,
Yep.
but, again, that was back in the, like she said, like they said, in the shooter era. We're talking 40 years ago.
Yeah, but
Just like,
I still have my reason for disagreeing with that.
well, I mean, there's not a right or wrong, but you can't use, like, I was saying about TV. I'm just going to pull these names out of my hat because look, I watch wrestling and stuff on Netflix. I don't know what the number one show
Mhm.
is right now, but let's just say Survivor. I know at one time that was the big show. Whatever Survivor's ratings are right now, 10 years ago, it would have been canceled, period. But right now, they're getting more money than they've ever gotten for a TV show because of the way the ratings have changed. Just like you can't say, well, in the shooter era, 100,000 books getting canceled. It's not the shooter era. If a book right now success is 100,000 copies and a book sells 100,000 copies, it's a success. I don't agree with that a lot, but it's the same thing. Like I can't say that Survivor is a worse show now than it was 10 years ago. I don't know that. I just know based on you can't base the ratings on the same thing because the television landscape is different. The comic industry's landscape is different. Print landscape is different. So, as much as I'd love to say, yeah, 100,000 is nothing. Today, 100,000 is a very big deal. There's a reason that DC's it will kill someone to keep Scott Snyder around for a 300,000 absolute Batman comic. It's because the numbers are different. I just don't understand what's changed outside of the absolute books and Image getting the Transformers and GI Joe license to all of a sudden make their sales go up, and Marvel, their sales are where they're at. They haven't really moved, except for their incentive covers, which is just a scam to get more copies ordered. So I don't know, but I think it's interesting that all of a sudden it's happening now when the comic book movie boom is dying.
Now,
So,
now I'm going to use your example here. Not the Survivor example. I'm
mm-hmm,
going to use the wrestling example because this is why I disagree.
mm-hmm,
Using your wrestling example, why can't it's like you saying that you can't compare the Hogan era to like the Rock era to like the Roman Reigns era that we have right now,
mm-hmm,
or I should say more along the lines of you can't even compare it to the Cody Rhodes era that we have now, the Cody Rhodes CM Punk era that we have now.
mm-hmm.
By your logic, it's like those ratings are different.
Yes.
Yes, those ratings are different, but that's not what makes those ratings different. A person like you who have been in the trenches, who have seen Hogan era, the Attitude era, the ruthless aggression era, to the PC era, to the PG
Mm-hmm,
era, to where we're at right now.
mm-hmm.
What is the common denominator throughout that whole entire period? The common denominator is the viewer, the person who's
Mm-hmm.
consuming that product here. They couldn't do what they did back in the day in Hogan's era today. Why? Because the audience would not like it, nor would they understand it. What was apropos for back then, it was apropos for back then.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the Attitude Era. Attitude Era type stuff, they cannot definitely get away with that now because we got, because the viewers today, the audience, the consuming
Mm-hmm.
medium people would not get a lot of the angst that's going on today, just like vice versa. The stuff that's going on with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes would not work in the 1980s because it does
Mm-hmm.
not fit that clear cut definition of face and heel.
Mm-hmm.
But why doesn't it work? Because
The
the
world's
audience
changed.
wanted clear cut in the 80s.
Yeah.
They wanted something a little bit, in your face in the 90s extreme. When it got
Mm-hmm.
to ruthless aggression, they wanted gritty. Now we got to everybody wants to be a megastar, but yet we're not good nor bad. We're just who
Mm-hmm.
we are. And those who are watching it makes that decision on why. So when we look at taking it to comics, when we look at the
Mm-hmm.
absolute universe is working because of the simple fact that it brought in a audience that liked what was going on with the new stuff. Now,
Right.
take a look at how many times DC has rebooted within the last 10 years just to get to absolute.
Right.
It finally found a audience. Now, the key thing here is, does that audience last? Does that audience have the lasting power? This is one of the reasons why I can go back to the Shooter era, because when you look at Shooter era, when it's 500,000 copies, the people who were consuming it was happy. They understood what was going on. They had
Mm-hmm.
their likes right there. They were consuming it on a consistent basis.
Mm-hmm.
We now have an audience for things such as absolute that people are consuming it consistently. You can compare those two audiences in that same aspect here. Saying that, oh, 100,000 copies is good for today. It's like, yeah, if you just only look at for just a small decade. But when you look at the bigger picture and you compare those two audiences being almost exactly the same, you have to question, how come we can't get to that 500,000 or that million mark that we had back in like the 80s, the 70s, heck, even the 40s and 50s, or in,
Well, I mean,
you
what
have to ask that question.
a book in the okay, a book in the 80s, what they sell, like X-Men or New Teen Titans, which was the top selling books in the 80s, right? If you took that back to the 40s, those numbers were terrible for the 40s. They were literally selling millions and millions of copies in the 40s. Of course, they were a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't disagree with anything you're saying, but today, the Roman Reigns era, the CM Punk era, I don't watch WWE because I can't stand the product. I don't like the wrestling. The AEW, the New Japan Pro Wrestling era, is a smaller audience than it's ever been for professional wrestling. But professional wrestling makes more money now than it has ever in its history. That's fact. Tony Khan just got $500 million for 600,000 viewers
Do you know why that happened?
because television is dying.
Not because television is dying. The overall the consumer base has grown. There's no more territories anymore. If I thought you were about to get ready to say it, but you didn't say it. This whole old school territory system is like New Japan is only in Japan. We've now seen New Japan here in the United States and in the UK and in Saudi Arabia. We have things like Stardom that's now being seen over here in the United States, which has never been done before. The audience base has grown, the consumer base has grown. So that's really the reason why professional wrestling is getting the boost that it is. Because guess what? You're not stuck with WWE. You're not stuck with AEW. You're not stuck with Impact anymore. There's something out there for you, just like with manga. There's something out there for you before you can pick up and go.
The wrestling audience now is smaller than it's ever been, though.
I don't know about that because again, you're looking at it from United States as opposed to the whole entire world. I'm looking at the whole entire world is now open up to people.
But I'm basing it completely just on if you're looking at metrics that they use to sell things like ratings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling's television audience is smaller than it has ever been in history.
That is true. Okay,
but they're making more money.
Yes, that is true. In the United States,
they're making more money than they ever. No, in Japan too. Because you got to remember, some New Japan matches had 100 million people watching it. They haven't. They struggle to sell out the Tokyo Dome when it used to be all they'd have to do is put out tickets and they'd sell it. The audience is smaller, but they make more money than they ever have because what is considered good now, people are paying a lot more for than what was considered good back then. Because look, I'm here in Memphis, the Memphis territory. People lived and died by Jerry Lawler down here.
Yeah. I was about to say, literally. It's like you're in Jerry Lawler land and
literally Superstar Bill Dundee and Jackie Fargo, and you'll never read this in the history book, but
Superstar Billy Graham and all of them, the Bonerics, you're in that territory.
In Tennessee, segregation ended because of pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Because of Sputnik Monroe.
Him and Junkyard Dog before he jumped to WWE, because Junkyard Dog used to rule the roost once they made him a champion.
JYD was a little bit further south than me. He was in the mid-south territory.
Mm-hmm.
But here in Memphis, man, we literally Saturday morning wrestling had more ratings than anything else in the area. Period. But that time's not now. I mean, now there's Memphis wrestling still today. Nobody watches it
because again, the audience has evolved from just what Memphis wrestling has done.
Right.
But
And
with that being said, they also have a choice of other wrestling organizations that they're
mm,
open up to. They don't have to cross a territory to go to Texas to watch the Von Erichs again. They don't have to go to Florida to watch another superstar. It's available on either cable, streaming service, or some other venue where they could watch Stardom, or they could watch
mm,
I forgot what's over there in Great Britain. There's another one that was over there
Rev
in Great Britain that was
Pro,
out doing NXT UK.
yeah, it was Rev Pro,
Yeah.
XPW. I don't remember the other one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
So,
was Rev Pro was the big one because that was one that Will Ospreay came from.
yep.
But yeah, but again, that audience is still smaller.
Hmm.
Because if you look at Great Britain back in the day when they had Big Daddy and giant haystacks and all that, the entire country stopped to watch it.
Right.
So but they're still making more money.
Yep.
It's how do you measure success now?
Well,
Because
the way you
if you
measure
look at
success is that you have to account for inflation from the dollars back then. You have to make their dollars from the 1980s equal to what a dollar would be equal today. Is it comparable? We don't know until we put the
Mhm.
calculations there.
Right. So, but I don't know. It's just interesting how all of a sudden now Image and DC they whatever metric by today's standards are selling more books than they did a few years ago. I personally don't think it's because of the absolute books, but somebody does. That's why they keep churning out more absolute books. Some people think that all the number ones at Image are the reason why they're getting all these great sales. That's why they're churning out more number ones.
Image
I
has
don't know
a
why.
vast library of creator-owned books that they just have not
Yes,
released as of yet, and
yes,
they're
and
just
I mean,
picking and choosing and doing whatever, if I could
but
say, marketing magic to make
mhm.
these books. Because like Dork number one should never have been a $40 book coming out.
Yeah,
Never.
to me, the two big things with Image, and again, I could be wrong because I'm an outsider looking at it,
Mhm.
is the revitalization of the Spawn line of comics when that happened. Because I mean, that was a big deal, and the introduction of the I don't what is Robert Kirkman call it, the Energon universe with GI Joe and Transformers.
Uh,
Those
yeah. Shoot, it wasn't. I forgot what it's called. I think it's Energon, but it didn't get started. It didn't get started with GI Joe, and Transformers. It actually got started with Void Rivals, and Void Rivals
that
was
was it,
the
Void Rivals.
vehicle to explain how those two
Mhm.
IPs actually intertwine with itself.
Yeah, because I say those two things is what really bumped up Image in people's minds more than all these number ones because I remember since the 90s, Image pumped out number one books like every other day. They never stopped. It's
Well,
just all of a sudden something came along that drew people's attention back to Image, and they're like, "Oh, well, let's try this other stuff they have."
well,
It's like the
I look
absolute
at
books.
image history differently.
I look at it as the fact that they gave Rob Liefeld another 30 years of relevancy, and that makes me mad.
Yeah, I mean, I get that here, but every time people are like, "Oh, image in '90s," I cringe because image '90s was not as good as image 2010s.
Mhm.
Image 2010s, they changed their philosophy as far as their what they consider is a good comic series in the late 2000 and going into 2010. What was Image truly producing? They were not producing capes and tights. They went to The Walking Dead. They had things like Sex Criminals. They had things like Saga. They had all of these other books that were
Mhm.
epic stories that were being told. So when I look at Image '90s, based upon who started it
Mhm.
and what they brought to the table. And Parallax was mentioning that Spawn 1 was 1.3 copies, while Spawn 2, 243 was just under 12,000 copies. Good selling books now are about the 40K range, and super hot books are about 90, which again, that's today's standards.
Right.
But
That
we're even taking a book that is from the same series. How and like I said, my business brain, when I look at marketing, it's like, how in the world do I go from 1.3 million copies sold to only 12? That's a problem.
mm,
Why am I losing my audience to that degree? 12,000 is not a good, it's not really a good number, but it also, is indicative of the times that we're living in.
right.
Also, when all the hot movies were out, like Doctor Strange, Avengers, X-Men, Wolverine, the books were terrible. Strange was dead. Yep, that was, well, to our point, Strange was dead. Thor was technically dead, or Thor was unworthy again. It was stuff like that. It's like, Tony Stark was no longer Iron Man technically.
Mm,
Hawkeye was, retired, all this other stuff. So Parallax is kind of hitting a little bit of what's going on here. The droves of fans never went to buy comics, and a few that did were like, why the fuck is Jane Foster Thor? It's like, who is this Clea chick? Where is Tony Stark? That would be the aspect of where I would say moviegoers who actually wanted to look at these books went to
mm,
a comic book store that does not have back issues, would be is saying exactly that.
mm. Yeah, because it was.
Even when the Marvels were dropping, they killed Kamala. Yeah, I still hate Amazing Spider-Man 26 when they did that. They killed off Kamala Khan before they could come back to make her an X-Men, a mutant.
Yeah, see, a lot of the stuff with Marvel is more political with their
Mm-hmm,
books than it was anything the actual books did. Because I
mm-hmm,
mean, look, there was that whole period of time where you weren't even allowed to say the Fantastic Four. Um, and I don't know because about this. When people wanted to see Banner smash Hulk in the books, I don't know about that because I'm not a big Marvel guy. I like Jane Foster Thor because Jason Aaron wrote a great series,
Volume
and
one,
people
yeah,
who
Volume 1 before they
yeah
made her political.
yeah well, I mean, it depends on where you land politically because I kind of agree with a lot of what you said, but
Yeah.
there's also but longtime fans know who Jane Foster is. Jane Foster was Thor before that in What If comics. So I mean,
Mm-hmm,
it wasn't anything brand new. The problem with Marvel is they tried to change everything all at once.
mm-hmm.
And it was so obvious this is not about diversity. This is just about look at me, look at me, look at me. That's different. Like Jane Foster Thor was a good story. The problem was at the same time you had Jane Foster Thor, you had Amadeus Choi's all of a sudden became the Hulk. Riri Williams is now Iron Man. I mean, I personally think there's nothing wrong with Sam Wilson becoming Captain America,
That was
but
another great pick. There was
it
nothing
all
wrong.
happened all at once. That
There was nothing wrong with Miles Morales being Spider-Man.
no, there's not. My daughter and I were just talking about this the other day. My Grayson was on with
Mm-hmm,
us. I have only read one or two books that has Miles Morales in it because I didn't read the Ultimate books. I am tickled pink there is a Miles Morales. I love it. He's one of my favorite characters just because there needs to be more Miles Moraleses,
mm-hmm.
but it doesn't need to be at sacrificing the characters that got you to the point you could have a Miles Morales. And I think that's where Marvel ended up with the biggest problem was they're just like, man, this Jane Foster thing, people are talking about it. It's an all right story, but people are talking about it. Let's do it for everybody. And of course, that also let them do their whole okay. Now Tony Stark looks a lot more like Robert Downey Jr. Thor looks a lot more like Chris Hemsworth. It allowed
Nick
them to
Fury
do
looked
that.
more like Samuel L. Jackson.
But do you know how funny it was to me that all of a sudden they went down into a basement and there was Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury just hanging out, and they brought him up. That was the funniest thing ever. And then you find out he's Nick Fury Jr. Like seriously, why can't you just bring Nick Fury from the Ultimate Universe over here?
Mhm.
Why did you have to do this? So, but yeah, it's I think that's what was the problem with Marvel more than trying something different. It was they tried something different all at once.
And the gateway to all of that was the worst gateway ever, and that was dealing with Carol Danvers taking the mantle of Marvel.
Mhm. Yeah, that's another
Not
one.
to not to say
She
that she's a bad pick. It's just they wrote her in such a way that nobody liked that passing of the mantle, and Marvel decides we're not trying to pass mantles anymore. We're just going to make these people who they are.
Mhm.
Miles Morales is now Spider-Man, but he wrote a great story about how Peter passed the mantle to him.
Yeah,
It's like Peter's not gone from 616. Peter's only gone from Ultimates.
right,
Miles is going to be okay.
right.
Jane Foster. It's like Thor was unworthy. Odin was unworthy. Freya knew who was worthy enough for Mjolnir, and still didn't tell anybody that Jane Foster was Thor.
And
As a result of that.
that whole thing about what made Thor unworthy, that was I'm okay, I'm sorry.
Again,
Nick Fury
blame original
whispered in
sin for
his it's like Nick Fury whispered in his ear Gore was right, and all of a sudden I can't lift my hammer anymore. It's like I'm pretty sure it's not the first time that Thor has heard that someone who was anti-religion was right. But now all of a sudden he can't lift his hand. Okay. But I will say again, Jason Aaron wrote an awesome Thor saga. I I enjoyed it, so I can't complain. It was just a problem of everybody else bandwagon jump, just like in the 90s when it was like, man, it's time to get dark and edgy, and everybody did it. Nobody was dark and edgy anymore because they were all that way.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, it wasn't new and cutting edge when all of a sudden the entire line of Marvel comics, nobody outside of the hardcore readers knows who the main characters are now. It's I think that's where Marvel lost their way. I think if they would have done it, I'm trying to think of a good like the Silver Age DC. They didn't all of a sudden just here's Barry Allen, here's Hal Jordan, this, that, and the other. It was like here's Barry Allen. A couple of months later, hey, this is Hal Jordan. If they would have done that with Marvel, I don't know if it would have turned out better, but it would have gone down better
Mm-hmm.
than the way it did. So I don't know.
Okay.
That like I said, I don't have a firm enough understanding of the ins and outs of everything with Marvel comics to say with any authority on that one. I just know I hadn't read a Marvel comic forever, but I enjoy Jason Aaron's Thor. So that to me, that Jane Foster wasn't a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So
See, they printed a million Superman #1s in the 1940s, but yeah, Superman hasn't sold a million books since Superman 75 when he died. Comics need to go back to newsprints and sell ads. Yeah, but then again, there's a problem with that. When you sell ads, you have to have circulation. 14,000, 20,000, 50,000 books is not good circulation. I agree. Newsprint might be the way here, but the ads is really the one thing that needs to come back. But again, until you get the circulation the way that it was back in the day, the ad money is not worth it. They're not going to. A lot of these books are going to get canned real quick because the circulation is just not there. There's not really a readership here. Yeah, but you're not taking into account inflation, Mr. Cliff. The highest grossing movie of all time, Gone with the Wind from 1930, adjusted for inflation, it sold 3 times the amount of ticket as Force Awakens and Endgame. So then we were talking about the ratings
right,
thing about
but
you have
well,
to compare apples to apples, type deal. That's what she
that's
was talking about
understandable. But
that.
again, though, success is still success.
Mm-hmm. Yankee game
Gone
in
with
1963 to see Mickey Mantle was $1.25 for decent seats. The game next weekend is $45 to sit on top of the lights. Sam Winfrey Cap and Miles Morales Spidey is fine, but when the show goes full woke, that pisses people off. Yeah.
now. See that I got a problem with that right there. What is woke? What is woke? Superman and Batman from the 1940s were woke. They sold millions of copies. You just admitted it. So that woke thing
No,
is
no, no,
that is
no. They create. There's a difference between created. She said they created a million. They printed a million. They printed a million, but Superman has not sold a million books until since Superman 75, which when he actually died, the death of Superman. So that was volume 2. Yeah, volume 2, Superman 75. The white cover, I believe. So that's where she was going with that. So that's the clarification here.
Yeah, but Superman in the 1940s, by using today's standards, was woke. Batman definitely was. Captain America definitely was. So
Well, I
what
agree.
that woke thing, that's political speak. That has nothing to do with what sold back then, when we weren't 100% sure where the sun went down at night, and black people still had to drink from a different water fountain, compared to sales now, there are literally thousands of other options for entertainment. That's the other thing that people leave out of this.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1980s, unless you were lucky enough to have cable, you had at most 5 TV stations you could choose from.
Yeah, anywhere in the
Today,
country. Yeah, it usually
today,
anywhere in the country. Yep.
day, like you just said, I can watch stuff from all over the world. So there's also that comparison. It's different. There was less options back then. There are way more options now. That has a lot to take into account for it. But look, I'll be a minute. I am the biggest AEW fan around. In fact, I'm wearing an AEW t-shirt right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch AEW on Wednesday night when it comes on, because there's so many other things I could watch. There's so many other things I can watch with my kids. Then when I get back around to it, I can watch AEW. So, but that you couldn't do that back in the 80s. If you missed Saturday morning wrestling down here, you missed it.
Wait, you had Saturday morning. We had it just about all day. Saturday
Now
morning,
we
Saturday evening, depending on which television station you were watching it on.
we had if you just had access to the Mid-South area, you had Memphis Wrestling. It came out at 10:30 a.m. Saturday morning. That was it. If you were lucky and you got the right UHF channels, you could get NWA Worldwide. You could
Mm-hmm.
get Mid-South. You could get World Class out of
Class
Texas.
champion, yeah, world class
Yeah.
championship. You could get what AWF, American Wrestling Federation,
If you
with
were lucky.
Sergeant Slaughter and all of them.
Yeah. I wasn't lucky. A lot of
Okay.
people down here weren't. We just got that Saturday morning time. And if you missed it, there was no well, let me take that back. For a while, when the NBC affiliate lost the rights to air Saturday Night Live for a little while, they would replay Saturday morning wrestling Saturday night. Outside of that, if you missed it, you didn't get to see it. So things were different back then. You didn't have on demand. You didn't have 10,000 choices to watch. So yeah, that's the other thing people leave out when they're talking about the difference in ratings and sales and stuff. Man, back in the 1940s, little Billy with his little rascal's lunchbox, he only had what, 4 or 5 things to entertain himself. So yeah, little Billy's bought a lot of comic books. Servicemen bought a lot of comic books because they didn't have anything else to entertain themselves with. Now, I have a house full of comic books. My kids don't touch them because there's a million other things that they can do to entertain themselves. So it's the same thing. My Grayson watches wrestling with me, but we don't watch it live when it airs because we don't have to. It's that's the other part of the reason things aren't like they were back then too, because there's so much more choice. way much
That
more choice,
I
and every
agree.
day is getting more. Oh my
Mhm.
god.
That's the thing. I feel like we're getting overloaded, and then the aspect of people having ADD, because I'm up here. It's like I miss episodic television. We had to. It's like we had to wait another week to get more wrestling. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like we watched it Saturday, and then we come back, Sunday at that same time spot and watch it again. Or I could watch all the wrestling from that point forward that day. No, it's just
Mm-hmm.
one time slot, and then you gotta
Yep.
wait a whole week.
And when I was little, and I would go to my aunt's house in Atlanta, and she had satellite, and
Mhm.
I could watch all this different type of wrestling all weekend long. Oh my god, I thought I was in heaven. So yeah, it's a lot different from that now. And there, my kids now, I mean, Grace and Vanellope, if an ad comes up for a show during a show when we're watching something on Tubi or this, they're gone. That's it. And this whole idea, what do you mean I got to wait till next week? They don't even know what that means.
They have no concept of it. But again, that's
Of course, I'm no better
a
because
different era, and the difference of why our stuff had more quality
mhm,
than what we get right now. It's like they paying millions of dollars for these shows, but the quality of the show is not as great as what
mhm,
we had back then. We didn't have the technology that they have now for special effects and everything, but at least the overall quality and build of the show is a little bit better
mhm,
because they were beholden to the advertisers. And
yeah.
the advertisers
Now,
are going to pay that big money for eyeballs on the television set.
right now, don't get me wrong. I'm not much better because
Mhm.
my girls are mad at me. I won't watch the new season of Jujutsu Kaisen until it's finished and we can binge it.
Mhm.
So I'm no better now than they are. But
Yeah, Peter saved Captain America in the Ultimate Universe. Fantastic story. Yep.
mhm,
Yes, yes. So what was the thing that told Thor? Yeah, you already mentioned about that.
yeah,
Yeah. And now it's like now they're not woke, progressive woke. It's like okay, now they okay, now they are not woke, progressive, and woke is not the same.
that's a whole
Woke
new
these
can of
are
worms.
indoctrinated agendas. Okay, but Cliff was bringing up a good point here about 1930s, 1940s. Woke in those eyes could be woke in the eyes of today could be considered propaganda. And a lot of the books from the 1930s, 1940s was a lot of Americana propaganda,
Hmm.
pro USA. I mean, everything that was in Captain America, Captain Marvel, Shazam, and stuff like that was all pro USA. Wonder Woman, pro USA.
Hey, look, I'll
Everything,
not even pro
Superman
USA,
was the poster boy of pro USA.
not even pro USA, pro white USA.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at any depictions of African American characters from back then, it's embarrassing.
But
Especially Captain Marvel.
that's
Captain That was the time. But yeah, all you
mhm.
got to do is look at Captain Marvel comics from back then and his buddy Steamboat with his very primate looking body type and his rubbery lips and not being able to speak in proper sentences. It was woke US white USA for a lot of the books. But I'm not going to get into this whole
Yeah.
thing about
It's coming
woke
from
or
a
not
woman married
woke.
to a woman, black, gay, no, we get we get what you're saying here. AEW,
Yeah, see, that's why you and me can't be friends.
yeah,
Um,
Saturday night main event, yeah,
yeah, you can
but even Saturday night's main event was not a weekly episodic. They Saturday night's main event was on NBC when Saturday Night Live was in between seasons. So you had one season of Saturday Night Live, then you had Saturday night's main event, and then Saturday night's main event ran into the next season of Saturday Night Live was ready. I
mhm.
believe there was only two seasons of Saturday night main event from back then
They
WWF here.
were
VHS
Saturday Night's
and SLP mode.
uh, yeah. Saturday Night's main event was a quarterly thing, so
Mhm,
they had one every quarter back
mhm.
then. But yeah, and that, I mean, look, let's look at it this way too. Back in the '80s, Not me, because
Mhm.
I was an NWA fan back then. I liked my wrestling a little bit more than it was in the WWF. Back
But
then,
NWA had Ric Flair at his best. They had Mark
yeah,
Calloway, aka the Undertaker, before he was the Undertaker.
they had the
They, they,
Steiners.
they had they had my guy, Dusty Rhodes. They had him.
Yeah, yeah, but the Hogan formula was successful as hell back then. You cannot do a Hulk Hogan match now and get away with it.
No.
Not at all. And I'm okay with that because I want to see if I want to see someone drop the big leg, I can go back to all my tapes from the 80s. I want to see these artists, because that's what to me they are. They're athletes, but they're artists,
Hmm.
perform things that will make me sit there and go, that's not what a human shouldn't be able to do that. And
That's
yes,
the.
I want a good story. I want a good story, quote unquote
Mhm.
story, because that's a big thing in wrestling now. People don't know what stories are anymore.
They don't
Uh,
know how to tell a story in ring anymore. Everything
well,
is
no, not
outside the
only
ring.
that.
It's acting. They want to act. They don't know how to
Well, no,
fight
I'm talking
anymore
about.
in the ring
I'm
because of it.
also talking about storytelling in the ring because you got to remember, Joe, we have an entire generation that was brought up on 20-minute promos at the beginning of Raw to set things up, and that's what they think a story is. Whereas the story of the struggle in the match, the story of Jerry Lawler going for the AWA World Championship was the story, and that wasn't a 20-minute promo. So what they call stories now, you and me didn't grow up with that as being a story. So when I watch AEW and they don't do that, I'm like, okay, the story's different here. This is how they tell a story here. It doesn't need 20 minutes of talking, which, hey, I'm not knocking them. If I had The Rock and Steve Austin and Mick Foley, I'd be like, go talk. You do your thing. But that's not all storytelling is. And people nowadays don't know that because again, we had what from 2001 until realistically 2019 where the only thing people saw were the 20-minute opening promo on Raw, the 20-minute opening promo on SmackDown, the wacky distraction finish every week.
Hmm. But
So
nobody remembers how great the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage for the Intercontinental Belt that
mhm.
won SummerSlam, I believe.
It was a WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
And if you ask, Ricky Steamboat hated that match. He hated that match because he didn't believe it was wrestling because Randy Savage was real big on rehearsing the match. And Ricky Steamboat was one of the types that believed in you just haul it in the ring.
Hmm.
So Ricky Steamboat hated his WrestleMania 3 match, which many people consider one of his most famous matches.
It was one of the most famous matches because of Randy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Randy sold that match. That was
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why he hated it because he didn't want Randy to sell the way that Randy can sell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted more athletic competition. Randy was like, no, we got to
Mm-hmm.
protect one another. If we protect one another, we could bring this house down.
Mm-hmm. Right. Which was funny because I saw a young Randy Savage down here because he got
Mhm.
his family owned the other Tennessee
The
promotion.
pop-ups, yeah, the
Yeah.
pop-ups, yep.
Randy Savage used to drop at least 5 to 10 big elbows a match back then. When he was young, he could do it. And that's why by the time he got into his 40s, he was hurting people because he destroyed his hip.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's again, it's just different ways of telling a story. There's no if your audience buys what you're doing and they enjoy what you're doing, you did your job. It doesn't matter if it's a 20-minute promo at the beginning, if it's a really well told story in the ring, if it's a subtle build through this and that with uh, the struggle of Hangman Adam Page becoming AEW World Champion for the first time. The subtle things going into all that. If the story works for the people that you were showing it to, you did your job. That's just it.
See, now you're making me think about the title run that Orange Cassidy made. And the very first time that he finally take his hands out of his pocket and actually started
Yes.
wrestling. That was storytelling. Because
Yes.
everybody's like, oh, he has the gimmick, this, that, the other. He can't really wrestle. And then hands come out of the pocket and he got serious. I was like, oh my.
Yes.
Or
You know, I watched Orange on the Indies.
mhm.
So I saw the evolution of the character. I remember when he was Fire Ant in Chikara. Um, but yeah, Orange Cassidy, a lot of the old time wrestler and old time wrestling fans don't like him, but he was exactly what the old time wrestlers were always preaching: do the least possible and get the most out of it. And that man got the most out of everything he does. So more power to him. I love Orange Cassidy.
Mhm.
I could sit and watch him all day because he understands it. And
I mean,
Tully Blank.
it's a great gimmick and he plays it exactly right. But when I first saw him get serious and show that he could wrestle, I was like,
Mhm.
that's the man.
Yeah,
That's the man here.
yeah.
We're our in here, so let's get to the topic of the hand of our hand
Wait,
here, dealing with
I
the
thought we had turned
stripperella.
this into a pro wrestling podcast. What's going on?
Yep, yep. We gotta get back to more comic book stuff here,
Okay.
like stripperella. I still feel that this was one of Stan Lee's greatest miss, but at the same time, it was a hit only because of what it was produced for, who it was produced for.
Hmm.
As a standalone character and creation that could have had their own comic book series, this was a miss. But
Hmm.
because this was for a cable network that did not know what they wanted to do and how they wanted to go about doing it, and they was wanted to be more of a testosterone field type show, it kind of worked.
Hmm. Right. Right. Now, Pam Anderson was Stripperella, right?
Pam Anderson was the main character, Stripperella. We
Yeah.
had Robert Stack as the as her commanding officer for the agency that she worked for, which to me was like weird for him to do comedy.
Hmm.
And then the simple fact that they did all of this over the top jokes about her being a stripper, and Persephone, which was one of the characters, was up here trying to figure out how come she always disappeared when trouble comes around, and how come we never saw Stripperella and her all at the same time, and yada yada yada. And then we got the one episode where she finally figures out who Stripperella is, but we also found out that she has a head condition. If she gets bonked on the head, she has temporary amnesia.
Hmm.
And that was kind of like a running gag from that point forward in the series. It's just like, oh, this is just not good. It's like all the old tropes is just there. It's not nothing groundbreaking, but it kind of worked because why? It was on Spike TV for guys that just want mindless, brainless stuff.
Yep. Yep. Now, Spike TV had some good shows back then too. They were really fun to laugh at, like A Thousand Ways to Die.
Yeah,
That was a good show.
that was one. And then the one show that was critically acclaimed, but also was really, really messed up in the same aspect here.
Mm.
What was it called? What was it called? Shoot, I had it on my tongue. The Real Joe Show.
Oh yeah,
It was a
yeah.
reality TV thing where they had this one guy. They called him Joe. He was the Joe in
Average
the
Joe show.
show, but he was the only one that did not know that everything else was staged,
Hmm.
and they was
Average
getting
Joe
his
show.
real reaction to everything that was going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
It was like the Truman Show before the Truman Show, or the
Right.
Truman Show, and that was coming out right around the same time. So
Yeah.
that's the type of stuff that Spike TV was running, and that show was great until people started, picking out things that, hey, I would have known something up when this person that you have never seen before was talking to somebody that you knew on the show that that you have never seen, and they was up there talking production type work. And I was like, it's like, well, the thing here is he has no idea, but at the very end, they paid him what he was worth for all of that content. He became a
Mm-hmm.
millionaire. He became a millionaire because of that.
Right. And that was at the same time when Spike TV had going back to it, had Raw.
Mm-hmm.
It had Raw and the Ultimate Fighter hit its big boom. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they were just pumping out guy stuff nonstop.
They
But
eat.
it's
They
funny because
even. They even had. Let me show it to you here, if I can find it real quick. I saw it then, and then it slipped my mind here. Is it down here? No. Good for no. Yeah. Here it is. Spike TV. Ian had this.
yep,
The adult version of the Ren and Stimpy show.
yep,
They had the adult version of it. This is the Nickelodeon season 1 and season 2, but I also had the Spike TV adult version.
mm-hmm. Yeah, we have
And when they allowed them to get risque, I was like, oh my goodness, this is what Ren and Stimpy should have been. Like, it was hilarious, but it's like, good grief.
yeah, because we have the whole DVD collection, and my Grayson for a while that was like her favorite show to watch was Ren and Stimpy. And I was like,
Mhm,
I don't know what kind of parent this makes me, but she's entertained. I'm just gonna go
mhm.
with it. So,
Well, the Nickelodeon stuff was okay,
mm-hmm,
and John Kay is still a horrible person.
mm-hmm, yeah,
And it's like all the documentaries about Nickelodeon, some of the people that work for Nickelodeon. That so a lot of that stuff was true. A lot of the stuff was
mm-hmm,
true. It's like they had some very abusive people there.
mm-hmm, yeah, yes,
Unfortunately, John Kay was a bit of a womanizer.
yeah. There was a lot of that in those positions in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, but no, I'm trying to remember. I think I only watched a couple of episodes of Stripperella. It was on. It came on again when we are talking about when you didn't have things on demand.
Mm-hmm.
It was on days that I was in the gym. Back when I was childless and I trained pretty much every day of the week. So yeah, I missed a lot of Stripperella, but I did receive a couple of episodes of it, and I was like, yeah, this is a this is a show. Yeah.
It's a show. I mean, it's like I get that they wanted Anderson to do it. They kept a lot of the aspects of her and her animal causes and her animal charities. They kept that intact. They
Mhm.
kept pretty much her persona. But it wasn't like Pamela Anderson doing Pamela Anderson. It was just like it was supposed to be like kind of like an offshoot of her personality, except in a superhero
Mhm.
role. And they kept making the mention, and it's like, oh, she keeps forgetting. Oh, I have to act like I'm cold, even though I'm pretty much almost, I'm in the middle of this winter lodge with nothing more than a bikini on, while everybody else is dressed in winter clothes and everything. And
Mhm.
they're looking at you, it's like, all right, it's like, are you cold? It's like, no, I'm kind of impervious to. Oh, it's like, oh yeah, burr. It's like,
Mhm.
no.
Yeah.
It's like you can't. It's like you just. It's like as far as regular superhero type stuff, this show was not that. It
Mhm.
they knew what they made here, and I'm glad it only
Mhm.
lasts one season. But it just they knew what they made it here. They knew what audience that they was trying to go for. They're trying to go the 18 to 21-year-old full testosterone, wanting to see pretty women type
Mhm.
audience, and all the
Yep.
jokes about conjoinkers.
Right. And also at that time, there you can't you, there's no comparison today because of, again, how different everything is,
Mhm.
of how big of a deal Pamela Anderson was back then. From Baywatch and all the stuff about Pamela and Tommy Lee,
Mhm.
all that. All they had to do for a while there, all you had to do was slap Pamela Anderson's name on something. You're guaranteed at least a few 100,000 sales or something. Without
What
it didn't matter what it was or if it was any good or not.
and
There's
they
hardly
had the
any
double
comparison.
whammy on this one. They had Stan
Mhm.
Lee on top of it. This
Yeah.
was a character that Stan Lee created for Spike TV. It was like they just poor execution.
hmm Yeah. But yeah, I mean it. If it wasn't for the fact it had Stan Lee's name on it and Pamela Anderson, it wouldn't have lasted a season. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just the reality of it. Because I mean, back then, there. I'm trying to think. It's not. You can't compare. The first name that came to mind, and again, I'm not up on today's pop culture. I'll admit it.
Mhm.
You can't compare the Kardashians. They're not even the same universe as the kind of big deal Pamela Anderson was back then. It's there was no comparison to it. Just like there, there's no comparison to like Antonio Inoki in Japan here.
Right.
There's no there's nothing today that I can compare to how big of a deal she was back then. So yeah, just her name on it got that thing that got it an entire season and got it greenlit. Oh yeah, that
And you have to think about who eventually replaced her on Baywatch, which was another big name that had a
it
good
was
following too, which was Carmen Electra.
Carmen Electra. Yeah.
And it's like the first thing that I think about Carmen Electra is like there would have never been MTV singled out without Carmen Electra.
hmm
Because Carmen Electra was the co-host to Chris Hardwick, who was the male host, and Carmen Electra was the one that was, had the microphone to talk to all the other possible contestants who wanted to go out on a date with the guy or woman that they had choose for that show here.
Yes,
But again, that's
before
dating
he
ourselves back. That kind
right.
of dating
Well,
myself here with the MTV singled out.
before he became Chris Hardwick there, Chris Hardwick was a local celebrity here in Memphis because his parents owned the local bowling alleys, Billy Hardwick's. So
Oh wow.
yeah. So Chris Hardwick was as a little kid was famous around here because of who his parents were before he became Chris Hardwick.
Mhm.
You know, kind of like Justin Timberlake was Justin. People around here knew Justin Timberlake before. What band was it? Was he an NSYNC or a Backstreet Boy or whatever?
I believe he was in sync, but I could have sworn Timberlake was also on Kids Incorporated.
Yeah, but he grew up around here,
Mhm.
so he was well known around here before he even became Justin Timberlake. So it's just like this is so weird. All these strange people I knew that I've heard of my entire life are now on my TV. This is odd. So, yes.
So that just means that it's just a short amount of time that you're going to be on television with your own show, making thousands and thousands of dollars.
Man, when that happens, that's when ratings have reached 10 people is a success. Yes.
Shoot,
Uh,
I feel sometimes with the way YouTube is, 10 people is a success.
mhm. YouTube is YouTube and Facebook are funny to me because of the way they count views sometimes.
Mhm.
Like I didn't know this until recently. You know, when you're doom scrolling on Facebook and you pass by a video and it just starts playing, that
Mhm.
counts as a view, even if I just scroll past it. That's crazy to me. Because it's like I didn't watch this. Why does this count as
Well,
a
you stop there for more than 2 seconds, therefore it started playing, so it's a view. So they
Mhm.
consider that it is what it is here.
Yeah. That's I don't know, stuff like that's funny to me. But again, that's why I don't get paid the big bucks. So good on them.
So do we have anything new on the comic book side of things? No more KO type stuff or history
Oh,
of the DC?
we got We got all the KO.
Oh wow.
Yes, yes. So the only thing that I have not read that I know of DCKO was is I have not read the Justice League Unlimited tie-ins yet.
Okay.
Mainly because, and I don't know why I didn't. I did not realize that they were doing tie-ins in Justice League Unlimited, so I missed a couple issues,
Mhm.
which kind of sad about because I flipped through them and these look like a lot more fun than the tie-ins I did read. Mainly because apparently Mr. Terrific has his own strike team that's trying to help out with the tournament and stuff, and it's from people throughout all the different hyper time variations. So it's like the Kingdom Come Green Lantern and Electric Blue Superman and Batman Beyond, and they're like going through the multiverse. I'm like, I, I wish I'd have read those instead of the Teen Titans, the Titans tie-ins, and I love the Titans. Um,
But it
so
just didn't do nothing for you. That just didn't do
I'll,
nothing for you.
I'll just have to get back to I'll have to get to the Justice League Unlimited ones when
Mhm.
I hunt down the ones I missed. But okay, because some of these I can go through kind of quickly because there's
Mhm.
not much to them. The Titans and the Superman tie-in.
Mhm.
Basically, all they did was tell you to go look at DCKO 5, and in the terms of Titans, it basically ended. Oh, who was right? John Layman's run on it, and starting the next cycle of Titans. Not
Okay.
much to
So
that
pretty
there.
much change of creative team.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
standard for the course. Nothing major happened or something blah happened.
Night Fight. I if you've ever read any story where Batman sees what history looks like without him or with him, you've read Night Fight.
Okay.
Period. I mean, that's all there is to it. He gets sent to a world where basically, you know how Gotham is portrayed as like this horrible city and everything's terrible forever.
Mhm.
Damian and the rest of the Bat family have turned it into Metropolis, basically.
So well, I was hoping
It's
that eventually he gets into a story where without him, not Metropolis, Gotham turned into a utopia.
well, I mean, that's what this is. It's bright. People are outside. There's no graffiti. Everything's the city has come back to life,
Mhm.
and he has a grandchild, and he gets to be a grandpa, and all of that's happening. And then he has realized he has to destroy all of it where he can get back to the tournament. He's like, okay, all right. He's still Batman in a tournament where they're fighting literal gods. He's still just Batman. Um, so yeah, that was all.
Again, that's the reason why Bruce can never be the Batman for me. I like his
And then we
father
had
better. I like Thomas better as Batman.
hmm,
So Thomas
yeah.
Thomas will look at it as like, oh, I'm a with Damien it's like, oh, I'm a grandfather. Oh, how nice that is. But we got bigger fish to fry. He would be like, we got bigger fish to fry. I'm sorry. Uh-oh.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
look like we might have to cut it short. By the way, he was looking over there to the
Oh no, I don't know what's going on. They're running around in the house, but I am almost up to in my backlog of reading where Flashpoint Beyond
Mhm.
is with Thomas Wayne. So I can't wait to read that and talk to you about it.
Okay.
Um, but I also read the Flash tie-ins. They were okay. It's Darkseid was using the Legion of Superheroes to try to kill Barry Allen before he became the Flash, to do away with the Speed Force, where the Omega Speed would be the speed the whatever would replace it in the universe, and it it was basically Mark Wade basically saying that everybody has to die and come back to life when they're supposed to die and come back to life because it cumulated with Bart Allen trying to stop Barry from dying in the original Crisis,
Okay.
and Bart, you know, Bart having to be shown that you have to have endings where new beginnings, yada yada. Basically, we reboot this stuff all the time, and we're going to keep doing it. It's good.
Or better yet, Bart has actually learned the lesson that Barry didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yes.
like
And
you got it's like you gotta let Barry die, just like Barry just couldn't let his mom die.
right. And the thing I liked most about these was they reintroduced Max Mercury back into the Flash family.
Ooh.
So I'm happy about that. Um, then we get into the big three main ones that we need to talk about. DCKO presents The Kids Are All Fight.
Oh, that's the one that you said that you was just ready to toss and put in a shredder and all the other stuff.
So John Kent, who I've been reading the John Kent series that Tom Taylor wrote, and who wrote this? Something Adams. What was his? Where can I find the creator names at? Anyway, Mr. Adams, who also wrote the Saturday Night Slam book that we talked about, the Galactic
Right.
Slam book last time.
Yep.
He wrote this one. He wrote that one and this one. He apparently did not read the Tom Taylor Superman series because Jeremy Adams, that's his name, because this John Kenton here is a whiny little bitch and complaining that he has to stay on the satellite and babysit instead of going out and fighting. And that's annoying to me because that was not the John Kent I read. And he is stuck babysitting the Tom Lost, a daughter of Jay Garrick, Judy Garrick, who was apparently a speedster back in the 1940s. No one remembers.
Right.
Roy Harper's daughter, Lillian, who's become the new Cheshire.
Mm-hmm. People who are dangerous if you do let them go.
Somebody named Quiz Kid, who is another Tom Lost sidekick of the original Mr. Terrific.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fair Play, who is the autistic son of the Michael Holt Mr. Terrific, who was raised on Apocalypse. And so, of course, they don't want to stay on the satellite. They want to go to Earth and help. So they steal Roy's Justice League key card or whatever and go to Earth and they're looking for they're trying to see about this signal that's drawing all these people in. And it's Granny Goodness is the one doing this, is making the signal because she's looking for a certain metahuman. But to protect what's going on, they have the new her new female Furies, Bernadette, Lashina, Mad Harriet,
No,
Guillotina, which are normal,
Guillotine is new.
which are basically female Furies, most of us know. But rounding out the squad is Thunderheart, which is Wally West's daughter, Courtney Whitmore, Stargirl, and your girl, Yara Flora, Wonder Girl, are all female Furies now.
Mm-hmm.
And so John finally figures out they went to Earth because Cassie Kane had to explain to him what's going on. And so of course we have the fighting, and Jay Garrick's daughter is overconfident because I've been doing this longer than all of you, blah 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 blah. And Courtney Whitmore just knocks her the fuck out. Which I'm fine with because I cannot believe that any child of Jay Garrick would be that much of an ass. So whoever came up with this character and made her this way,
No,
go
she was
away.
portraying the wrong way. She's confident, but she's not cocky.
Yeah, so that's some nonsense.
She
And
was
then,
doing stuff that Jay couldn't do, and Jay was like
Mhm.
admiring the fact that she has came a lot further than he did. So she's confident, but not cocky.
yes. So that I didn't think that washed well, but whatever.
So I guess you haven't read the JSA series
I'm
where they
behind
talk
on it.
about them.
I'm behind on it.
Okay.
I've read the first issue where Stargirl starts to learn about them, but I haven't
Hmm.
finished it.
Hmm.
Again, I'm so behind. Um, but Michael Holt's son, uh, he runs away because of all of his trauma of growing up under Granny Goodness. Um, and Superboy and Batgirl find him, and they convince him to help them come back and fight. Meanwhile, Granny is still looking for whoever this one person is, that will help her control all of the Earth. And again, I've read this twice now because I wanted to reread it before tonight to make sure I remember what's going on.
Hmm.
And I still have no idea why in one panel he's regular John Kent Superman, and in the next Kent panel he all of a sudden becomes Electric Blue Superman.
I don't know. That's
I
something
have
I don't
no
know.
idea. I have no idea. But yeah, and now he's shooting lightning and stuff. I don't. Okay. But so then finally this one metahuman that she's looking for shows up. And she thinks he's going to help her take over the Earth by using his frequency to brainwash everyone. But it turns out it's Static Shock, the return of Static to the DC universe, apparently.
The same stat that was told, "Oh, don't use your powers ever again. We'll
Yes,
find you and destroy
yeah,
everything else about you." The same that
right.
stat.
That's
That
Static.
static.
So now he came in and helped the good guys win, and Granny and the Furies all ran away. And the very last panel, full page spread you see is basically the lineup for the new Titans coming out. It is Static, Fair Play, Courtney Whitmore, uh, Jay Garrick's daughter, Wonder Girl, Cheshire, Superboy, Batgirl,
Wait, you,
and
you talk about Yara
yeah,
or okay, okay.
Yara, and Irie West. I don't remember what Irie's superhero name is. Thunderheart or something.
Yeah, something like
Basically,
that.
this is just setting up the lineup for the Titans book that's about to start. So
That does not sound like a very appealing Titans team either.
no, but it's the main Titans are going to be there, but they're going to be more like background characters.
Hmm.
Um, which really sucks because DC had done a really good job about making the Titans what they should have been the next era Justice League in their
Hmm.
books over the last couple of years, and now it's like, no, we can't do that. We have to go back. So, but now DCKO 4 and 5. Oh my! Again, I like Scott Snyder. This is a fun read, but for what it was supposed to be, no. So, in number 4, the final 4 from our universe: Superman, Lex Luthor, the Joker, and Wonder Woman are getting ready to fight Darkseid's champions, the Absolute Universe, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, and the Darkseid possessed Booster Gold. Um, and the fight's on. Uh, I don't know if this was written because again, I haven't read a lot of the Absolute books, just because
I really only read Absolute Wonder Woman, so I could validate Absolute Wonder Woman, but I can't really validate everything in Absolute Superman nor Batman.
well, I'm curious because I know it was a joke for a while about um how big Absolute Batman was, as far as like, nobody is this swole. Um, but I think it's like, is it a running joke that he gets bigger because he literally is growing from panel to panel in this book to the point that when the original Batman shows back up, there's
Hold on.
Batman.
Mm-hmm.
There's Batman. That's absolute Batman.
I don't know what's going on
Is
with
it a
that.
running joke? He gets bigger, or is this one
I,
of is this Power
my
Girl
guess,
thing?
it has something to do with Venom, that he uses a form of Venom, and maybe
Okay,
that's one of the effects. He just gets bigger.
I have no idea, but so they're fighting. The Joker changes sides and is going to fight with Darkseid because he's the Joker, and that's how Bruce Wayne Batman from our universe comes back, and he kills the Joker. Um,
Also, Batman now goes back to killing. Okay,
well, only now because it's in the tournament. Nobody actually stays dead, but
well, at least so far to his knowledge, but we don't know.
right, right. And in between all of this, they keep having Superman keeps having flashbacks to a game night at his and Lois's house that Bruce and Diana are at. And it's kind of fitting because we're talking about a game night during this tournament that's a game.
Mm-hmm.
But in typical superhero versus superhero fashion, the heroes of the absolute universe and of our universe basically fight on an even playing field, um, until Superman uh, defeats Booster Gold, and somehow Darkseid's hold over the absolute characters is broken, and they're like, "We are free. Are we free?" And then Absolute Wonder Woman says, "It was a nightmare, like being a passenger in your own body." Even though it's been established through all of this, Darkseid created the absolute universe. All of these characters are extensions of him, but now all of a sudden they're free. Um,
For writing.
yeah, and of course that leads to giant Darkseid crawling out of Booster Gold's mouth, and the absolute heroes join up with the original DC heroes to fight Darkseid, and Darkseid kills everybody, and the last two people standing are Lex Luthor and Superman. And in typical, the frog and the scorpion fashion, Luthor turns on Superman and kills him. And so Luthor wins the tournament and becomes King Omega, and he will fight Darkseid. But meanwhile, we get to see Saturn Girl dealing with basically it's showing how Darkseid created the absolute universe. And there's something going on with, they don't outright say it, but the further into Darkseid's mind that Saturn Girl goes, the more of the original Saturn Girl is coming to the surface. So it's a slow build up to the next Legion of Superheroes series.
Okay.
But all of that is the build up to the final issue, issue 5. So I'm kind of nothing, literally nothing happened in this issue aside from Luthor killed Superman, and Batman showed back up for like 3 panels. It was the classic.
Only to be dwarfed by his ultimate, by his
Yes,
absolute counterpart. It's like
yes,
absolute regular Batman, absolute Batman.
yes. And again, I should have known, but it was the whole bait and switch of the superheroes are all gonna fight. They're really not. They're gonna team up. So I was a little bit disappointed. I was really curious how they're going to write the fight between the originals and the absolute versions, but they kind of just punted on
they
that one.
punted. They punted
Yeah.
because, to be quite honest, that Wonder Woman fight was going to be nasty.
Mm-hmm.
The Superman fight would be easy for current universe Superman because of the simple fact Ultimates, not Ultimates, Absolute Superman does not have that filter.
Mm-hmm.
So he would probably tilt his hand a little bit too much to current day Superman, and current day Superman would figure him out.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute Batman versus current Batman. Absolute Batman is just going to mollywobble.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, this is a Batman. That's the Batman that has had his ass handed to him several times over, and
Mm-hmm.
does not need prep time to defeat an opponent.
Right. It's the the gym fighter versus real fighter idea. The
Right.
original Batman is a great gym fighter, but he's never actually had a fight. And Absolute Batman's actually fought. So yeah, that there's a big difference there. And if you unless you know understand what I'm talking about, that didn't make any sense to you. I
Mhm.
apologize. But if you know, you know. But so then we have the final issue. Thank Christ, the final issue. Um, and the very first thing you see, you open up issue 5 is a full page ad for Lobo #1. It looks it looks very Lobo like.
But it's
Um,
Lobo. It's modern day Lobo. You kind of expect it.
yeah. So it's written by Scotty Young, so it should at least be entertaining. I don't I may skip that #1. I was never
You
that
know
big of a
what?
Lobo fan.
Scotty Young is a hit or miss, because now
Yeah.
you're making me think about how I felt about I Hate Fairyland, or the issue #1 that I got, F
Mhm.
Fairyland.
Yeah. Yeah. Um
Him as a
oh
writer
and
is not bad, but it's not good. But it's like
mhm,
it really depends on the subject that he's writing about.
right. And so we get to the story and we see Lex Luthor preparing to fight Darkseid and the final fight for the fate of the DC universe. But and as the fight starts, let's see. Again, we go back to the game night between Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Lois Lane. And as the fight is happening out the window, they see Darkseid fighting Luthor, and Batman and Wonder Woman rush out the window to go help, but something keeps Superman from going. And again, because he's Superman, he realizes that what he's seeing is not real, it's an illusion.
Mhm.
And in classic DC Universe fashion, the Time Trapper, who we know as Doomsday, appears. And the whole game night was a pocket universe or a pocket timeline he created to protect Superman to help him win the tournament. So Doomsday talks about how his job he was not designed to be the death of Superman or to be your destroyer. Uh, he uh, he was created to save Superman and so Superman can destroy Darkseid. Um, and he shows him basically since we've spent this entire series talking about Omega energy, now we learn about Alpha energy because Superman's the Alpha to Darkseid's Omega.
Mhm.
And we bring up the fact that it always has to be Superman because going back to Doomsday Clock by Jeff Johns, the idea that everything in the DC universe revolves around Superman, which is their cute way
I
of
hate
saying
that aspect. I hate that
Well, it's
aspect.
basically their cute way of saying, DC Comics officially started with Action Comics #1. So, um, and so Doomsday sacrifices his life and gives Superman all of the energy that he has inside of him. So now Superman has both alpha and omega energy in him. And he breaks out of the statue that all the contestants get trapped in when they lose, just in time to show up at the tournament to watch Lex get killed by Darkseid, because no matter what, he's still Lex Luthor and Darkseid is. Um, and this is where you get in some interest. This is almost Grant Morrison level of stuff right here. The entire fight between the two is taking place as Superman is creating his own perfect universe. So they're basically fighting, and as they fight across Metropolis, Themyscira, the Rock of Eternity, Oa, and so forth, Superman is building his perfect universe, and each time he becomes ahead in the fight, it overwrites Darkseid's universe, and when Darkseid starts winning, darkness wins. And so
Mhm.
it's kind of a very Grant Morrison idea versus idea battle. Um, and Darkseid keeps getting the upper hand, and so more and more of the universe or the multiverse is turning towards darkness. Um, and Superman gets pushed all the way back to the Big Bang of the universe. But it turns out he was playing possum, because he went back to the Big Bang because all of the energy of his universe he was creating is focused in that one point of creation.
Mhm.
So he lured Darkseid in there where he could give him the big Superman punch, and now the real fight is on. They're fighting back and forth, and through the whole thing, the Heart of Apocalypse is urging Superman to keep fighting. Build your perfect universe. Build your this or that. And Superman, because he's Superman,
Mhm.
says no, and realizes it's not just about him, it's about everyone. So instead of him fighting, and let's see, he goes, I'm for the record, I'm not quitting. I'm just tagging them in. And he rips open his chest, and all the Omega Alpha energy comes out of him, and
Mhm.
all the heroes and villains in the tournament come out to fight Darkseid.
Oh dang.
Um, which, man, Superman can carry a lot of folks inside of him. Um, I'm kind of disappointed because I'll have to go back and look. I don't remember Adam Strange being in the tournament, but he's in this panel, so I have to go back and look at that. And so, and now this is where it becomes very much. It's no longer an event book; it is a setup book, because
Okay.
let's see, they all kick Darkseid's ass, and he says, "You fool! Why? You had a chance to win. Why?" And then Superman says, "It's simple. Lois said it but best. I like games where everyone wins. My name is Clark Kent. I am not a King Omega because we don't need one. No one hand should hold that much power, because when only one person wins, none of us do." So he reset
Yeah.
the universe back to the way it was before the tournament. And then he says, he's leaving. He has something he has to do before he comes back. So he disappears, and all that energy that he had absorbed goes out into the world. Um, and let's see, he goes, "One last time I think of my universe, its whole gleaming arc still inside me. And then I undo it, wind it back from its end to its beginning, omega to alpha, until the whole thing exists in one single point. A contained creative explosion which I set free. I watch as its power strikes the world I love, and a storm of alpha energy that ignites the earth again and again, setting strange new things in motion. Uh, and it's beautiful. Our world should always be one of wild beginnings and new starts. Blah blah blah. And he even there's somewhere he even says throws in the line about the next level and we're all in, which is the tagline for the new DC books. And you see as his energy goes out across Earth, you see all the new books about to come out: Lobo, Deathstroke, Batwoman, The Demon, Firestorm, Zatanna, Jonah Hex, Dead Man, the Red Hood Teen Titans book, Wonder Woman and Trinity, the new Aquaman. And he goes, that's how we all win.
So
And
now it's going to be Superman's fault when they
yeah,
reboot it again. When they reboot it again, it's Superman's fault.
and then we come over here and they flat out tell you, because of course it's Bruce Wayne who says it. He goes, "We stopped Darkseid for now, but we really didn't stop him. He's still out there waiting on us." Um, and then you get the epilogue, which is at the Watchtower. Mr. Terrific, let's see, he goes, is recording, and he goes, an explosion at the site of the tournament has imbued all those in the vicinity with a concentrated mass of both alpha and omega energy. Until I know more, keep this entry under restricted access. And then we go through, and you see Booster Gold. He says he's going to go find Superman because Superman saved him. He's going to go find wherever Superman is. Then you see Superboy Prime is in Metropolis because he's going to be Superman for a little while. In the far future, the remains of Darkseid's Legion is there. They're going to try and hide amongst the regular Legion. Uh, Lex Luthor still doing Lex Luthor stuff. Cyborg apparently in classic sci-fi movie fashion didn't learn anything, and he has merged the heart of Omega with his father box inside of him. So
Mm-hmm.
that's going to end well. Um, and then we go to Central City, and Barry Allen, who somehow lost his powers. I don't know. I'm fine with because F Barry Allen, but he came
Mm-hmm.
back from the comic book store and he's looking at his computer where he had been writing the new history of the DC universe, the series, and there's a new entry that says Book Zero, and he's like, I didn't write this, and it says he's got quotations because he's reading what's on the screen. It says, "You forgot my real story. You left me behind. I did the right thing, and all of you took my world from me." And then his computer explodes, and you can't. I'm not sure where they're going to go with this, but the image that comes out of his computer is that image that everyone who reads DC Comics is always like, "Oh no!" It's the hand at the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
The one that always messes things up when people look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever's fixing to happen, um, Barry's computer apparently knows. Okay, and then we find we the last thing you see is Darkseid, um, and he's talked about how the time trapper's sacrifice may have given Superman the ability to push me back, but you and I know the truth. The fools who oppose me have won neither the battle nor the war. My absolute creations are unfazed and undisturbed for now. They and the rest of their world remain my weapon. And I have another army growing. And it shows all the different parallel Earths where darkness won the tournament. And they're all becoming anti life. And then the final page, Darkseid says, there will be a crisis of absolute proportions. And it shows the infinite Earths, and they're all covered with Darkseid's Omega symbol except for our Earth, or the DC Universe Earth. So DCKO is setting up whatever's coming at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. which really kind of pisses me off because this was supposed to be Scott Snyder's big. He already did his Batman and Wonder Woman story. This was supposed to be his big Superman story, and it was just written to be a to be continued, and that pisses me off. So
That was an unsatisfying ending.
yes, yes. But I kind of feel bad for Scott Snyder because he gets all these books. Like he had to rewrite the ending to Death Metal twice because originally he had one thing ending in mind because he just wanted to tell a Wonder Woman story,
Mhm.
and then said, no, this is going to lead up to 5G, so we have to rewrite the universe, reboot the universe. And so he wrote an ending that would lead to 5G, and then 5G got canceled, so he had to rewrite the ending again. And where we got the ending we did have to Death Metal. And I've got a feeling that he had a different ending for DCKO in mind. And they're like, no, let's spread this out into the next event. Again, it was a fun little turn your brain off story. But using it to
Uh,
set up what comes next, I don't know about that.
Again, that ending does not set well because it's like Crisis on Absolute Universe doesn't sit well with me.
No,
Considering the fact that they still trying to keep the two universes separate, so it's like why?
well, I mean, in story, we'll probably find out the reason why, but we know the real reason why is because Absolute's selling, and they don't want to turn over the
They
apple
didn't.
cart.
They don't want to destroy it now because
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. DCAKO came and went. It had some fun things in it. It had some stupid fights that made no sense, and it had some tie-ins I should have never bought. But
yep,
overall, if you're like me and you like crossover events, it was a fun turn your brain off read. But
that's
if
the problem.
you're
I don't really turn my brain off. That's why I say I could enjoy some of it, but not that ending just does not set well.
no, it's out of the three, yeah, the three big event books that Scott Snyder wrote: Metal, Death Metal, and KO. KO is the weakest of the three, which is a shame because it could have been a lot more. And especially if you were trying to make a Superman story to really refocus on everything that makes Superman Superman, you could have done a lot with this. But making it end to set up another series, I'm not a fan of that. And I'm also not a fan of the fact that I didn't find out until after I bought all 5 issues that they had AEW DC crossover covers where you got like Will Ospreay fighting Firestorm
Yep,
that now I have to go track down. I'm not happy about that. I'm I am not happy I have to go find these now because I'm not a big variant cover fan. If I would have known, I would have bought those to begin with.
right.
So
You would have paid the extra dollar or $2 just to get
yeah,
that one as opposed to the A covers.
yes. So I'm not very happy about that. But again, overall, I can't I can't in good faith recommend it because especially if you hold Scott Snyder's stories to the standard of other stuff he wrote, this is the weakest. Um, and if you hold it to the standard of what a DC comic event is, it falls very short. But if you just look at it as a 5 issue miniseries, Kill Tom, it's all right. Don't read the tie-ins, except maybe the Superman ones.
So in other
Um,
words, it's a guilty pleasure type deal.
yeah, it's not an event book the way if you're our age you think of an event book.
It's not
It's
a Kingdom
more,
Come. It's not.
yeah,
It's not. It's not a Crisis of Infinite, or it's not Infinite Crisis.
no, this is more of a little bit more drawn out version of like the old JLA crossover books.
Okay.
You would get, where it's just this is just a reason to have all the superheroes together. If you look at it from that standpoint, it's not bad. But if you look at it from what a DC event is supposed to be, yeah, no, it missed its mark. So I don't know, but yeah, that was it. Joe, I read it for you.
Yep.
You're welcome.
I still got a couple of issues still coming, so I still got to suffer through it.
No.
But
Again,
nevertheless,
some of the choices for battles and the outcomes, I'm just like, I don't get this. I do have to admit, though, I am kind of intrigued to read the new Emperor Aquaman story going on in his book, just because I'm a sucker for Alan Moore Swamp Thing, and so we have the blue, we have the green, and we have the red, and apparently now we have the blue. I'm a sucker for that. I'll read it. That sounds fun, but outside of that, I don't know. I'm gonna my days of just buying a book because it was a DC comic are long gone. So we'll see. I'm kind of excited for some of the new number ones coming out. Some of them I'm just like, I already told my LCS, I'm like, don't put that anywhere near my box. So we'll see. But yeah. And then next week, because I'm not going into any more suffering. I finished the 3 Jokers.
Oh boy, that's another
and
one.
I'll talk about the next time I'm on. I may end up hunting down Jeff Johns over these. This was a steaming pile. So
I kind of figured you was going to say that, because I was like, yeah, 3 Jokers was not that great. But then again, I'm not a big Batman fan, so it was like, if it didn't appeal to me, I'd be like, well, maybe Batman fans like it. I don't know.
Well, in all honesty, I have found I've become fascinated with the post-crisis year 1 Batman. That time frame where he was still mostly the Bronze Age Batman, but they were still trying to make him fit in the new DC universe. I found that way more fascinating than after year 1.
Well, it looks like it's about that time, because we're at the time that we're supposed to be stopping. We're at 2 hours, 8 minutes here. But it looks like you're up here getting distracted, because I hear them, I see them, but I don't know. I don't trust it.
Okay. We have a slight medical issue happening here in the house.
Okay. So let's just go ahead and call it a day here. So there you go.
Thanks for joining us. It was a hodgepodge, but it was a lot of fun. If you can, go see Elaine and Joe at CT32. Tell her to give you some cobbler. And thank you. Come again.
All right. And that means it's time for me to tell you guys about Jeffrey Hayes of Planet Fire Graphics. If you need that great cover for your novel, your graphic novel, your comic book, hit up Jeffrey Hayes. Why? Because you want an award-winning artist that can bring some pop to your book, where people will come and start asking you about, what did you write? And how, and it's like, that's the greatest cover that ever being seen here. Reason why? You need to see this video. Why?
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasma Fire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You seen what he did for other people? He could do the exact same thing for you. So the only thing you have to do is hit him up on plasmafiregraphics.com or his Facebook group for Plasma Fire Graphics. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to be at C2E2 starting tomorrow. But yes, there will be a From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher for the mid-show update here. We got brand new comics already that's been sent here. So we're going to probably have two different groups here if I do get anything at C2E2 comic book related here. But we do have new comic book pickups for the week. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly with C2E2, and we're going, pretty much have maybe like an hour to an hour and a half of what is new, what is different, and my thoughts as a whole going into that Sunday. So until then, live life, grow, and be well. I do have to go because I got a couple more things to deal with here before we start our sales here at C2E2, such as making Legends of the Giant Slayer #1 live on the company website. So if you can't be here at C2E2, you can still get it through the C2CStudios.com website here. So live life, grow, and be well. And unlike our founder, Brian K. Morris, I do not care if you wash your hands, but never, and I do mean never, apologize for being awesome. Catch you back here next Thursday where you have the full group here, myself, Elaine, and Cliff, for another episode of Comic Book Spectrum. Have a good evening and see you Saturday for the update.